Hands off. I'm sorry. There are a lot of personal space issues in this office today. So this is Teef.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna walk around as best I can. It's interesting because like I just realized how dependent I am for sound in this game. This is really fun.
Yeah, it's kind of loud out here.
Yeah, so let's see what happens. So right now, so this is back. This is after the game has been finished. This is out in the city. You get to kind of wander around the city as Garrett as you please. You can either go back to older mission areas and do missions, or you can just catch up on all the side missions that you didn't do.
Okay.
Right now, I have a side mission that's activated. You can see it up there is where I have to get to. But as you also see, I've also kind of, I had some anger management issues.
Yeah,
Wow,
you murdered those fools.
Leaving corpses strewn across the street.
It's the thief way. No, it's not.
Aren't you supposed to drag them into the darkness at
Well,
least?
you can. I mean, if you want to do that,
No,
there's
forget
nobody
it. Leave
left.
Leave them.
No. I'm gonna.
Right.
I mean, if you're right. It is important to dispose of bodies properly.
So that is a mechanic that was in the original Teef.
You can.
How much original Teef is in this new Teef?
There is some original Teef. But there's some unoriginal Teef as well. That's not quite really what I meant, I suppose. There's a little, say, Assassin's Creed going on in here. So let's zip up in first person.
Oh, hey,
while
nice.
we're doing this,
all in first person.
While we're doing this, I just want to remind the folks at home if they have any questions for Kevin about Teef here on the Xbox One, to please put them in the comments on the GameSpot page or in the Twitch chat, or tweet at GameSpot as well.
But as you see, that's a little bit of a dead end. You know, you see that that's where I need to get to, but sometimes the most obvious way is not the appropriate way.
Can't you just blink up there?
That's a different game.
Okay, fair enough.
So the good news is that there are other ways of getting around. Sometimes you can do things like activate focus to get an idea of what it is that you're missing. Now, if I hadn't already fired that rope arrow, I would see by activating focus up there, you see that's an attach point.
Yep.
So unlike earlier Thief games where you can basically just attach an arrow at any block of wood that will let you, you have to do that in specific areas here. So you can do that by the rope arrow, and then you fire it and so on and so forth. But for now, I'm just going to go up.
You gave this video game a
6.0 out of 10.
This game, kind of, a lot of people were anticipating it hard to make a sequel to Teef, even though it's had its own fair share of weird sequels already. In what ways did this kind of disappoint you?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the way the city is set up. So the city is your hub world here, and this is how you get from one mission to another, but you also have open world things to accomplish. But it's very, very segmented. It doesn't really feel like a world as much as, I said in the review, it feels more like a series of connected walk-in closets.
Right, okay.
Than it feels like a world. And there are some other things too. The way focus, I'm not necessarily against the idea of focus, even though real core Thief fans, it's the kind of thing that gets them all kind of pissy about it.
Yeah.
But I'm not against the way it was done. I'm just, sort of against the way it makes the game easier without making me feel more powerful at the same time.
So do you prefer to, like, you can play with it turned off?
You can play with it turned off.
Is that feasible, or is that?
Oh yes, it's absolutely feasible.
Cool.
What I found though is that I did like the focus for one thing, because focus isn't just for seeing things like this. Sometimes it can help you pick locks faster. It helps you beat up guards faster. But I did sort of enjoy having the option to see what it was that I might miss.
Right.
But there are visual cues even without it.
So is this not level based in the same way that the original Teef was and Teef 2: The Metal Age? Or
it is level based, but you use the city as your hub world to get from one place to the other. So it's you sort of got that in between gameplay to get you from one place to another.
I've got a question here from C Silverwind on Twitter. He asks, how is the quality of the sneaking in Teef? Are the shadow mechanics decent, or are they kind of silly?
The shadow mechanics, this controller is dying.
All right, no.
Press the button one more time. We'll get a little life out of it. I'll cannibalize some batteries for you here while you play.
Yes, it's the shadow mechanics.
The shadow is fine. It works pretty well, all things considered. There are some things that I like that they did add, however, that are new. One of which is the swoop.
Okay.
And the swoop is basically a rush forward mechanic. And so it lets you do a little quick dash, as it were. And that's not something that you can turn off. You cannot use it if you prefer not to use it.
Right.
But swooping is always something that is turned on.
Do you find yourself getting involved in combat more often than not, or?
Well, it depends on whether I'm good or not. Sometimes I'm not good, And but typically, what I want to do is not get involved in combat, and instead I'll run.
Yeah, if you run away, how do the guards react? Because I remember in the old games, they would search for you for a sort of short enough period of time and then step back to their normal.
They do some searching as they should. Looks like maybe this is a good. Let's see how much I can get out of this.
Let's swap out the batteries. I'm going to ask a couple of questions that have come in here.
Thanks, Chris.
No friend of the show, M&M Stranger 1 asks, how is this compared to Dishonored? It's a pretty good comparison to make, I guess.
Well, it's a reasonable comparison, considering that Dishonored was, the Thief franchise inspired Dishonored, as it were. But I would say that in terms of any individual aspect, Dishonored is the superior game in almost every regard.
Oh, really?
So it's
that game is so good.
Dishonored is really, really good, and in that sense, it's really hard for this game to really live up to. Oh, we're having lots of fun here.
No, I've got more questions. Friend of the show again, Mr. Carl Duran, Sidburn19 asks, is there any Kinect voice commands?
There are, but I've not used them.
Yeah.
So I can't explain how they work. There's something Kinect related, but that's not really what I want out of my Thief.
Did you play this on the PC as well?
I did play PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
Is there any fundamental difference between the PC and the console versions?
Well, there are some differences. The PS4 version has some interface differences if you decide to use the tickle the controller way of doing things. Chris is having fun over there. So that's that's there. You can tailor the interface in various ways on all the platforms. The biggest difference probably is, of course, PC versions are typically more pretty.
Yeah.
That's not really a surprise, but the frame rate can be a problem on consoles.
Okay.
So, and when I say consoles, I mean the next gen consoles, because I have not actually played the 360/PS3 versions of this game.
Okay.
So. But I will say I'm sort of fascinated by the frame rate issues, all things considered.
Yeah.
Since it's not open per se. You look at this and you see sort of this area and you think, wow, this looks like a big fun world to explore. Yeah, well, you can see the frame rate's a problem.
A little slow down, a little sluggish.
Oh, but here's the swoop. Swoop.
That's a pretty
I do that every time I play it.
Oh my God, you swooped so hard.
I swooped so hard. I disconnected.
Swoop so hard.
The controller.
Kevin, so
I'm from Swoop So Hard University.
We're having some connectivity issues with this one.
This is what happens when it's just 900p.
That's the consequence.
This is the consequence.
Shots fired. I want to ask you this, because we've talked about some of the drawbacks. We talked about some of the things that are a little problematic, and some of the things that are don't compare favorably to other games. But a 6 on GameSpot is
not a bad thing at all.
bad score. It's like, we've got some things that are caveats, but also, there's a lot of good reasons to play this game.
Yeah,
what are some of those?
This is one of those interesting occasions where the highs can be really high and the lows can be, what the F is this? What are you doing? And but the highs can be really high. Like, there are these moments where you sneak in and you have to try to make your way around these people. And if you're doing it sneaky, which is the way you're supposed to do it, if you're alerting people, you're doing something wrong. I mean, you can get out of it, but these great moments, wow, people are just dropping controllers on me left and right. This is great. So, but some of the neatest things are like when you can sneak up, and I wish I had a chance to show you that, and then the controller started getting wonky. But I'll go into this mission area and see if I can figure something out. It'll ask me if I want to replay a mission, and I'll say yes, and we'll see what happens.
I've got a couple of extra questions here as well. A bunch of them coming through the GameSpot chat. Thank you very much. But this one's from Twitter. Kid_Yume is asking, so what's the overall plot of this game? Why are you stealing? So I'm a fan of Garrett. I'm a fan of
Why are you a fan of Garrett?
Because he had, the old version had that awful raspy voice on the intro, and he was just kind of a bad dude. Like, he just stole, like there was a kind of a Robin Hood thing going on there, but it was just.
No, there's no altruism here, right?
There's no altruism. This is he steals from the rich and the poor and everybody to give to himself. That's the thieving part of it. But there is a plot. It's of course set into play by a damsel in distress.
Oh, here we go.
It's not the most original thing.
Does Garrett have a damsel that he cares about?
He has a protege. Her name is Erin, and in the very first parts of the game, you discover. So she's a little bit more.
You're getting the yellow eye.
Aggressive.
Kevin.
Yeah, nice peek there.
Peek right into their crotches as they approach you.
So this is what happens.
Crossbows are drawn.
You should run.
All right, so you've
Well,
got out
what,
your...
what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I have time to do up a blast arrow.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wow.
Right in your face.
So that's basically like setting off
Oh,
a
God,
rocket,
what have I done?
a rocket in the wrong place.
You are dead.
So
You just
You are dead.
RPG'd yourself,
I
basically?
did basically
Nice.
RPG
The
myself.
stealth in this game is great.
Oh, shut up. The stealth is actually quite good. But so Aaron, the whole thing with the story is that you watch Aaron sort of fall prey. You stumble upon this mystical cult situation, and she falls into the magic. And
What?
then
Is that a techno club in the town? Da Magic.
it is now.
All right.
So that's sort of the thing. The thing there is that she drives the plot, and in the meanwhile there are some real issues considering there's this. So the Baron's in charge of the city, right? But there's sort of a populist named Orion.
Is that a water arrow?
That is a water arrow. I'm gonna
Yes!
be a little sneaky and make sure that. But that was my last water arrow.
And he
So-
loves them water arrows.
You can, oops, wrong button. You can turn on the map if you prefer to have the map on. Thief enthusiasts.
Oh,
will
and that's just
probably
with the
want
button.
To keep it
Yeah.
off. Yeah,
That's
just
nice.
the D-pad. You can turn that on and
I'm
off.
actually
So-
just so happy to water arrows in this again. It's the dumbest arrow in the world. How does it make any sense?
How do people not
It's
notice
just a little water
But they
balloon on
will
the end?
notice if I would have blown out that fire there.
Yeah.
Then they would have noticed, and they would have been like, "Huh?
Huh?
What's going on?"
Somebody's
and
got
they'd
a
relight-
water
they-
arrow.
They will relight. Oh God, what's happening?
All right.
I'm
you
gonna
know
just
what?
set this
Let's stop
controller.
it.
I think we're
Let's
having
just put
some
it down.
down.
connectivity issues
Leave it
with
at
that
that.
one.
Poltergeist,
I've got-
the magic is a problem.
I've got one more question, last
All right.
one before we wrap this up. Apologies, all that technical stuff. That's on our end. That ain't the video game.
It's live, baby!
Vedder Falnir 12809. That's the guy who took that username I wanted. That
Scooped you.
XXX Naruto,
Naruto
fan,
fan
XXX,
420. Yeah. He asks about how long is the campaign in Thief.
I think if you were to just, so I spent about 15 hours with the game, and that
Okay.
was just playing like I would normally play. I play the campaign, play some side missions. I think if you were to just go through the campaign and not pay any attention to anything else, probably 8 hours.
Who wants to do that? Don't you want to get into the side missions? Are they enticing?
The side missions,
Like,
it
do you wanna
depends.
get
So
in there?
the story missions are much more interesting as a rule because they give you chances to sort of navigate into thieving areas in different ways. But there are a lot of the side missions are just go through a window, look around, and press all of the buttons and steal all of the things until you're done, and you've done everything that there is to do. But there are some
okay.
really clever ones. One of my favorites is this thing where you follow a drunk dude, and you have to sort of open doors for him and like find ways for him to get around obstacles so he can open a door for you to sneak through.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty clever,
cool,
especially
actually.
because there's a prostitute there. I don't think this is a spoiler.
This is
There's a-
great. This sounds like my
there's a pro-
Friday night.
yeah, totally. And you know the neighborhood I live in San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's all about this. So there's a prostitute
Just how you get
standing
home
sort of
every
on
night.
this trap door, and one of the things you have to do is sort of is he gets stuck talking to her.
Yeah.
And one of you like basically open this trap door underneath her, and she falls into the river beneath.
Oh no.
And then she's just down there the whole
That is
time.
grim.
You come out, and she's still like, "Hello," and it's super funny.
like-
It's one of those.
It's like knee deep in river muck.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the great ones. Another my other
really-
favorite moment in the game is a story mission where there's this conversation between guards who are stealing stuff off of corpses,
Right.
and they're talking about whether they should check the guy's junks in case they have cock rings worth stealing.
Ah,
Thief!
A game of highs and lows.
Yeah, it's a game of highs and lows. It's a
Awesome.
game of junk and brilliance.
And drowning prostitutes in medieval rivers of poo. Kevin VanOrd, thank you very much. Thief review, Thief, Danky Kang. God, we're awful people. The Thief review is on GameSpot.com if you want to check out the full version of that.